I'm here to tell you that there are 3 things you need to do to retire early. And this formula is actually super simple, but there are so few people doing all 3 things they need to do to retire early. And today, we're going to fix that.
My name is Charles, and I'm trying to reach financial independence before I turn 30 years old. Now, your path will look completely different than mine will, and that's only normal. But however you reach financial independence, you still have to do the same 3 big picture things that I have to do. The easiest way to explain what you need to do to reach financial independence, retire early, or FIRE, is to talk about what you need for an actual FIRE. See, the first thing you need for a FIRE is wood, or something to actually burn. And for us trying to reach financial independence, that's our earnings. Now, this wood isn't going to light itself on fire, but if you don't have any wood or any other type of fuel, you'll just never have a fire in the first place. And the same goes for you. There are other things you'll have to do, but if you're not bringing in any cash money, you're just not going to reach financial independence. You might be saying, duh, that's super obvious. And yeah, it is. But what isn't super obvious is that this might actually be the least important thing you need. So bear with me and let me explain. The reason this is the first step is because 0 times 0 is still 0. Look, the math checks out. You just can't grow your wealth if you don't have any income. Now, when you make more money, you can do one of 2 things. You can work just as long as everyone else, but live a more lavish lifestyle while you're doing it. Or you can keep your expenses the same and put that money towards reaching financial independence. I'm obviously a fan of the latter strategy. And the more you have, the easier it will be. I mean, the stock traders at Wall Street or the tech geeks at Silicon Valley will be able to reach financial independence faster than I can.
But hey, that doesn't mean they will. Look up Mike Tyson's career earnings, or look up how many NFL players go broke after just 2 years of leaving the league, and you'll very quickly realize that making a lot of money is not all there is to retiring early. And that's because no matter how much you earn, you have to actually save it.
When you're trying to start a fire, you don't just stack up a big pile of wood and hope that lightning strikes. I'm not going to leave my financial independence up to luck. But that means I need something to ignite this big pile of wood. When you save your money, that's exactly what you're doing. Having enough saved up means you can start your retirement. People affectionately call this their FU money. See, your savings will be the first dollars you spend in retirement. So, in other words, they're igniting the fire. And this is really important because while making money is great, if you're not saving a penny, you're no closer to financial independence. And just like with earning, the more you save, the better. But it's not actually about how much you save. See, saving $100,000 a year while spending $200,000 a year is functionally no different than somebody saving $25,000 a year while spending $50,000 a year. And that's because the savings rate, not the savings amount, is what actually matters. See, if you're saving 10% of your salary, then you'll reach financial independence at the same time as anybody else saving 10% of their salary, even if they're making twice as much as you or half as much as you. That's because the amount of money you need to retire is dependent on how much money you spend per year. See, based on historical data, if you spend around $20,000 a year, you probably need around $500,000 to retire.
No matter what, you have to be spending less than you earn. If you aren't even covering your expenses, you're becoming further from financial independence, not closer.
That leads us to an incredibly important concept. A dollar earned and a dollar saved aren't the same value. Saving money is actually way more powerful. For one, a dollar that you earn has to go through taxes, but the difference is actually a lot larger than that. When you save an extra dollar, that means you've reduced your expenses. And see, that's super important because as we just talked about, how much you need to retire depends on how much you spend every year. If you live on $80,000 a year, then based on historical data, you probably need around $2 million to retire. Now, if you can cut your expenses in half down to $40,000, then great, you now have an extra $40,000 a year that you can invest and put towards your financial independence. But if you can live on just $40,000 a year, you've also reduced how much you need to retire by around $1 million.
Whoa, that's years, if not decades, of work. But that'll only work if you do the third step. See, a fire doesn't just need wood and a match. It needs one more ingredient: oxygen.
Have you ever put a glass over a candle? Eventually all the oxygen in the glass gets burned up and the fire goes poof. And that's pretty cool when it's just a candle, but when that candle is your financial independence, that isn't so cool. What I'm trying to get at is that it's not enough to save up a big pile of cash and call it quits. I mean, if your money's just buried in your backyard, it's going to run out. It's like a flame without oxygen. To make sure your money is a flame that never runs out, we've got to add one more thing: investing.
To retire forever, you've got to invest. Investing is what turns that money you earned and then saved into a self-replenishing machine. Instead of just a fire in your backyard, you've got a power plant.
See, if a fire is large enough, it can keep going forever. You can even take a log off of that fire as long as the fire is large enough to keep burning with other logs. The same goes for your retirement. I mean, if you've earned enough and saved enough, then you can actually take some of that money out and spend it. I mean, that's the money that you'll be using to cover your expenses in retirement. As long as your money is invested wisely, your financial fire will actually keep growing even when you take something out. So there we have it. There are just 3 things you need to do to reach financial independence. You've got to make money, you've got to save that money, and you've got to invest it. This is a super simple formula, but so many people are screwing it up.
And hey, be honest, have you been neglecting one of these 3 steps? If so, let me know down in the comments. Help other people avoid the mistakes that you've been making. And one last thing, if you want to follow along as I pursue financial independence and do it with me, hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much. See you next time.